Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. I don't hear my own microphone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Kiwanis on Zoom. Welcome, Kiwanis in the room, and welcome guests. Yeah, we know about the microphone. Thank you. I want you all to know that you have just served the largest breakfast in the history of Roanoke. Congratulations to everyone. We'll hear a lot more about KPAD on the agenda later. A few things to comment on about club members we care about. Right? Jenny Lee, past president Jenny Lee, had a service for the death of her brother Gordon over the weekend. Gordon visited us a few times over the years, and we send our condolences. Speaking of service, Margaret Zerks, wife of late President Howard Zerks, died recently, and there's a service for her. And finally, Milton Hardy, his son, went into surgery for an emergency appendectomy. We're sending a card around for that young man. We hope you sign it and get it back to us. Preston Tyler is on his way up now to lead us in the introspection, and Ken Briggs is coming up to lead us in the pledge.
Good afternoon. As you know, well, every month has something special, some kind of awareness of whatever month it is. And May is National Walking Month. That means you walk, you get out there, exercise, get that heart together. But I want to think about another walk. And I'm going to tell you a story or tie this walk together. There was this donkey that was a stubborn donkey, and he went over into a pit. The owner tried to get the donkey to come out and gave him a rope. The donkey chewed the rope. He tried everything he could to get that donkey up out of that pit. But he was just stubborn. He said, I'm not coming out the pit. The owner said, well, since you're not coming out the pit, I'm just going to bury you in the pit. So he took some dust, took some dirt, and he threw it over in the pit. And the donkey shrugged it off and patted it under his feet. He took some more dirt and threw it in the pit. And the donkey shrugged it off and patted it under his feet. He did it so much so that the dirt was so much in the pit that he just walked out of the pit. I said all that to say this. When life throws you a curveball, when life does something for you, just shrug it off and pat it under your feet and keep on walking. Kiwanis, we got something to do. We got to keep on walking because we got some people to influence and some people to help. So for National Walk Month, keep on walking.
Fellow Kiwanis, join me in our pledge to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Thank you, Preston, for reminding us to keep walking. Thank you, Ken Briggs. On her way up here now is Beth O'Brocta to introduce our guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beth O'Brocta. I'm a new member. And again, I'm supposed to tell you why I joined. It was some pressure from my husband, but also because You all are such a wonderful group and your service and community minded, which is very, very important to me. So thank you. We have quite a number of guests today. Randy Myers, oh, when I call your name, guests, if you would please stand, and then your hosts will stand as well. We have Robbie Hairston, JJ Harper, Robin Fouts, and John Fouts. And Randy Myers and Bert Boyd are hosting 4 Action Club members who worked at KPAD on Friday and Saturday. So thanks for working. Jeff Vick. Jeff attended the Interfaith Prayer Breakfast last Thursday, was a pancake chef on Saturday, and he's got his application for membership to be considered on May 13th. So we're very excited about that. Thank you, Ken and Jeff. Bert Boyd is still working on guests because we have Nyron Nichols with us again today. Yay. And Brianna Taylor. Nyron and Brianna Taylor are both paralegals. You've got to stand up till Bert Boyd stands up. So thank you so much for continuing to come, Nyron, and welcome today, Brianna. And then we have again today, Darlene Lewis, who's the head of the Hope Center, and her host is Micah Brocta. We have Brian Craze of Colonial Life, host Micah Brocta. Thank you for coming, both of you. Ben Baird, who is the illustrious husband and guest of Jean Bollendorf. Hey. And he was working hard at the pancake breakfast. I know that. And we also have Harold Griffin, who is retired, and he is a guest of David Hartman. So with that, welcome everybody.
Thank you, Bethel Brocker, for a marvelous job. Yes. I want to make a comment about one of our guests at this moment in time. Beth just introduced the guest of Dr. David Hartman. This guest is here today because he came to KPAD on Saturday and made an acquaintance of Dr. David Hartman. The two of them hit it off, and I'm just delighted that there's follow-up occurring today. This is outreach, isn't it? So KPAD's going to come up here and tell us a little bit about what's been going on. Maybe we sold a few more tickets, I'm not sure. Maybe we served a few pancakes, we'll hear about it. Come on up, Yoda.
Oh, okay. Once again, this is my exciting day. Look, the thing that happened last week, really for the last 2 weeks, is that I've watched our sales grow, and they have grown. I'll show you that in just a minute, because I can figure out here. Oh, she's gonna do it. Thank you. Is how well our base has expanded. We have really outstanding participation this year. All the teams, there are very few of us. If you'll take a look at those sheets that are on your table, there's just not very many zeros there. And I can't tell you how proud I am and how pleased I am to see that broadening out and see everybody participating. It's great. It's great. So let's get to the slides. It's the May the 4th be with you. This day has on my record, treasurer at St. Paul. So if you want to see what's going on, it's St. Paul.
This one?
Yeah, May the 14th. Bar she blows. Okay, you go to the first slide, please. We can see how we did this week. Next. Kevin Reeder, Rogue Squadron is up to $4,574. Andy Stone, one of the week's top performers, turned in $680. Nancy Horn and Ken Briggs, captains of the Galactic Guardians, are up to $6,180. J.C. Taylor, David Spanker, Ken Briggs brought in another $100 yesterday. And you know, Ken Briggs holds the records for selling tickets for last year's. We were asking what to do with leftover tickets, and I said, give them to Ken Briggs, he'll sell them. Next slide, please. Joe Gaither's team, Luke 4, is at $6,591. Mike Loveman, Vern Danielson, Joe Gaither, all participating. Thank you guys very much. Milton Hardy's Ewoks are at $7,101. We've jumped up yet another position. I've done 2,400. Sherry Hartman's at $700. Stephanie Moon Reynolds is at $550. She's one of this week's top performers. Next slide, please. Lois James, Death Star Destroyers at $7,587. Lois did $1,150. And look at Don Witt at $1,100. Way to go, Don Witt. John Pendleton, Reed Kessler, Bob Rutherford was in this week with more money. Thank you all. Next slide. Joe Limmer, CPO, I'm not sure, John, is this a team record? 10,000?
Kevin Reeder had 11 last year.
Kevin Reeder had 11,000 last year, so Joe, just another 1,000. Just another 1,000. Look at Rupert Cutler at his mailing list. He's done 4,000. 4,000. The rest of the boys in the band there. Next slide, please. Our total, let's see, this week we did $4,574. This does not have, correct me if I'm wrong, John, this does not have our take on Saturday, the gate.
Just members who turned in.
Just members who turned in money on Saturday. It doesn't have the gate total. We don't have the raffle total yet, which will be included in the gate total. But that puts us just at ticket sales at $42,124. $42,124.
Somebody's been coming in today.
And we got a little bit turned in today.
Don't
And we've got one more week of ticket turns in. Get with Ken Briggs. He'll tell you how to sell tickets after the event. Next slide, please. This week's top performers were Joe at Preston at $450, Andy Stone at $400, Sherman Lee at $350, Mike Bell at $300, David Lemon, and Stephanie Moon Reynolds both at $300. Thank you all. And again, the Action Club, I gotta tell you, the Action Club is absolutely amazing. We couldn't do it without them, I don't think, but they've sold $60 tickets and it's very much appreciated. Now, I wanted to say this. There's a little bit of news on our star auction. But I'm not supposed to say anything.
No.
But I'm very excited about it, I'll just say that. Thank you all. It's going on well. We can pump through $47,000 on ticket sales. That will set a new record. So let's keep going. Thank you all very much.
Now, on the raffle that we're having here for people who sell their whole, thank you, their whole stack at $350, we have $350 plus dollars. We have 47 people so far in the raffle. Coaches, get on to your people to go ahead and finish up, bringing in the money. And Joe Lemmer, he's running away with the team coach award, but it's not too late. We have one more week.
The only thing I'm allowed to say about the auction is that it's still going on, so there's still time to bid. It closes at 6 p.m. tonight. And you can check our website for updates on what the highest bid is so far. I would like for Donna Lynch to stand up and be recognized. Just briefly, sorry, I know you're munching on that delicious hamburger. Mike couldn't be with us today. He's with us via Zoom and in spirit. He's not feeling well, but Mike McAvoy and Donna Lynch were the most amazing operations leaders along with Eric Danielson this year. Please give them a few. Donna and Lisa manage every wedding, every funeral, every event that anybody has. It's really amazing. And I would also like to give some special recognition to Brianna, who's been a guest with us and who came and worked her backside off at the pancake breakfast. We really, really appreciate your help with that. Thank you for being with us. Woo! And Harry deserves special recognition also for wrangling all of the volunteers. His hair didn't go completely gray in the process, and he still has some on his head, so that's a great thing. And he wants to step up and give us a brief update. But before he does that, I just want to mention some housekeeping things. As we said, please make sure you get your money turned in. If you provided something for the raffle, please make sure that I know about it, because your team will get some points for that as well. Thank you all.
Okay, got some numbers, have numbers here, and we had 75 plus Kiwanians working, 15 non-Kiwanians, 5 Action Club, 8 Boy Scouts, and 66 Key Clubbers.
Oh,
And the Key Clubbers, the Boy Scouts, the Action Club, they really helped filling in, whether it was on the line or in this kitchen with sausage and whatever. So really appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you.
well done to us all. Guests, what you need to know at this point is we're making a big deal out of our annual fundraiser. And it is a big deal because every dollar we bring in during this annual fundraiser, we turn around and give away to the community. For example, last week, our scholarship committee, high school scholarship committee met and conducted interviews, and the finalists for high school scholarships this year are listed on the bottom of your agenda. At an upcoming meeting, we will find out how much each of these finalists is receiving from us. Also, last week, the Environment Scholarship Committee met. This is the committee that reviews applications from from college students, and they're going through their selection process. Again, the money comes from KPAD. Speaking of last week, I want to take a couple minutes to recognize the volunteers who, in the midst of all of this KPAD effort, put in an effort for a successful prayer breakfast. Allow me a moment to read from some prepared remarks. These remarks come from Dr. David Hartman. A big thank you, and that is in all caps, and it's not because he's unsighted, it's because he really means it. A big thank you needs to be expressed to all of the members of Kiwanis of the Interfaith Prayer Breakfast Committee. Thank you goes to its sponsor, Hal Motor Freight, to Gary and Barbara Durk, who recruited them. Thank you goes to Amy Carter and her partner Lee for the delicious breakfast. Thank you goes to the volunteers who came at the break of the day in so many ways. Our keynote speaker, club member Dr. Lee Lehrman, blah, blah, blah. Judy Clark, music. Milton Hardy sang. John and Joyce Montgomery welcomed 90 attendees at the prayer breakfast. Ken and Bruce Swanson outdid themselves selling tickets again this year. And Jackie Bledsoe produced our flyers, tickets, and program. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, and it turns out there were Kiwanians at the prayer breakfast who facilitated. Their names are David Bowers, thank you. Gary and Barbara Durk, Gary, thank you. Steve McGraw's here, thank you. J.C. Taylor is here, thank you. John Montgomery, Delegate Sam Rasool, who is a Kiwanian, by the way, Reverend Preston Tyler. Let's applaud the participants in the prayer breakfast. Okay, moving forward now. I've mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. We need one person, preferably a tall person, to help set this stuff up behind me every week. We need another person, not necessarily as tall, to help with the Zoom. As been mentioned, the KPAD Star auction closes at 6 o'clock tonight. We do have traffic and bids. Stay tuned for the final result on that. Foundation meets today, immediately following this meeting. Officers meet tomorrow. The board meets on Monday, and once again, I'm extending an invitation for any and all of you to come as guests to the board meetings. It turns out that every one of these board meetings, some of you are coming as guests. We appreciate that. Having said that, when I stood up here last week, I encouraged you to get to know our newest board members. And I encourage our newest board members to get to know you. If you develop a relationship with them, you can influence how this club is run. Please do that. Next Saturday, we're supporting the Family Service of Roanoke Valley. Jill Sluss is here today. She's putting on their annual fundraiser, a large car, truck, and bike show. We will have a Kiwanis tent there. We need a couple volunteers for that effort. And looking further in the future, Kids Fishing Day is coming up. A couple more volunteers would help with that as well. I think I've covered all the important announcements. Have I missed anything? If I have, draw my attention to it, and I'll mention it after the meeting. Sherry just pointed out to me that I missed saying something about the June 1 Spring Fun Day. You've had flyers passed out, you've had sign-up sheets, you've seen information in the newsletter and on the website. That Spring Fun Day is a community event. We are one of the key participants, but not by far the only one. Shiloh Baptist Church and many others in the Melrose neighborhood are putting this event on. We certainly need a few more hands to sign up to help with it, and we need a lot more people to attend it. Please do that. Thank you for the reminder, Sherry. That's the end of my announcements. Now, I'm moving on to my absolute favorite part of these meetings, and that's the occasional outreach award. It turns out we have someone else in this club who's going to receive that award. This individual, who's on her way up here now, has enhanced our club and our KPAD's visibility this year with increased outreach. Thanks to her, we had a public Kiwanis booth at the stock market. We had an entry in the Daisy Art Parade. We had plenty of KPAD outreach, social media, radio spots, TV spots. And we had an information booth at KPAD. Please welcome Gene Bollendorf into the winner's alley. So, the outreach ribbon, which is going to go somewhere. It's reaching out right now. And the outreach pin, which I will hand to you.
Thank you.
And we will let Don photograph us happily together. Give it up for Gene. So what, you may ask, qualifies you to receive an outreach award? Well, you've seen these people, and there's been quite a number of them receive it. And they receive it for taking initiative and following through in ways above and beyond what we've done in the past. And the ways have to be related to outreach. So if you want an award, which I'm delighted to give you, take some initiative, follow through, and do something above and beyond what we've done in the past. Thank you, Gene. So, we have time for brag bucks. Anyone with $2 is now welcome to 30 seconds at the microphone to say something non-controversial. Please come up now.
Even though I'm not wearing scarlet and gray today, most of you know that I am a proud graduate of the Ohio State University, which is also the home of the best damn band in the land. But today I'm here to recognize the best damn club in the land. The Roanoke.
I'm the leader or the captain. Can you hear me now?
Get close and yell.
When I get real close, it comes back on. Anyway, I want to thank a person who helped me because my T-Mobile phone would not let me put in on my team. So Ken Briggs, will you stand up because you're my hero? And we work together, and I want to thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bruce Swanson, and I wanted to do a special brag because I mixed every one of those pancakes with the help of Mike Bell and Joe Lemmer, and especially my grandson, Isaiah Swanson. And that partnership was built on experience and also being the only people who wanted to sign up and do it again this year. Maybe next year someone else will help us. The pancake mix is so treasured that it was put in the back of the coolers at the furthest distance possible from the pancake mixing station. And I want to thank Mike Montgomery for showing me where it was. And he also was there before I was to actually bring up about half of those boxes so they were ready to be mixed. So Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Where is the mic thing?
I just want to tell you all how proud I was of our staff, our committee, and the prayer breakfast, as was mentioned by Mike. And also wanted to underline Tom Miller was the MC. He did a spectacular job, but I thank everybody that was part of that committee that helped me. All of you just did a great, thanks so much.
Really gone.
Hello. I wanted to tell you all about the Hope Center, which is located on 11th Street Northwest. I started to work at the Hope Center on a word that I heard, that I believe I heard from God. And it was just to open the door. And as I did, it became clear to me day by day what the need of the community is. Food, counseling, clothing, job readiness, and a safe zone for our children. So I wanted to leave you with this, that on Memorial Weekend, we're having our community cookout. And we originally started doing this as a festival every year. We call it the Hope Festival. But we realized that the community was not able to participate in the festival because they didn't have the money to eat, to buy the things that the vendors had. And so we decided to turn it into a community cookout where we would just cook all the food we could cook up, and we'd invite the community out, come out and eat free, have a fun family day. And so on the 25th of this month, we're having our annual Memorial Weekend Community Cookout. And we'd like to invite each and every one of you to the cookout and to say to you, we're still looking for sponsors for that day. So if you feel led to sponsor anything that day, we would appreciate it. You can get my information. I do have one of these flyers and I will be leaving. And I wanted to leave you with this little word that my name is Darlene Lewis, and I am the director of the Hope Center. And my motto is, if my neighbor is doing well, then I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you, braggarts. Every one of those dollars that you've handed in go to our foundation, which then get turned around, given back to the community. Just going to point out that Darlene is here because of one of our outreach efforts. There are a couple people in this club who are working in a public setting with other members of the community and other groups. And having Darlene come today as a result of that emerging relationship. So, brag bucks are over. Emily Bailey is here. She's here for two reasons, at least that I know of. One is for us to give her applause because today's her birthday. Yes, we changed it today. And the other reason is to introduce our speaker, Emily.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you all today. Also want to thank you for all the phone calls and text messages and cards checking up on me and my family. It certainly does mean a lot. I would like to remind you, I know Mike shared with you last week that our speaker is the one who is responsible for your delicious burger today. Stephanie graciously donated that beef. Thank you so much for doing that. Lois originally was going to be introducing Stephanie, and when she had to be out of town for work, she asked me if I would do it, and I absolutely jumped at the chance. As you know, we give our speakers a questionnaire, and we ask them to give us about 50 or 60 words to describe their career or a little bit about their background. Stephanie replied in about 40. And she shared with Lois the following. Stephanie is a first-generation farmer, married to a third-generation farmer, raising 3 children and Angus beef cattle in Botetourt County. In her off-the-farm job, she serves as the executive director of the Virginia Angus Association and policy specialist at Cattlemen's Insurance Agency. What Stephanie lacked in her description would prove to show that she is also a wonderful wife and an amazing mother who never misses practice, show, or game for any of her incredibly talented, hardworking children. She didn't tell you that she proudly serves on the board with me for the Botetourt County Fair Association, or that she successfully oversees the largest and most impressive beef expo in the state of Virginia. Raising 120 head of cattle, 30 goats, 4 dogs, 3 children, and 1 husband. She also has been at my right hand since my health began its decline in October of last year. Since then, not a day has gone by that she has not called, texted, emailed, or prayed for me without fail. She has taken me to numerous appointments and found time to provide dinner for me and Jason. If Stephanie didn't wear a cape like the selfless superhero mother she is, she might have time to be a Kiwani, and I can assure you that she would check every single box. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend Stephanie.
Gracious. I don't feel worthy of that. Thank you so much. Thank you all for letting me be here today. It is an honor to speak to you. I know we talked about how May is walking month. It actually is also National Beef Month. So whether you planned it or not, you picked a great month to have me come talk to you about raising beef in our area. Excuse me, I have to be my own clicker here. As Emily said, my name is Stephanie. My husband Matt and I have a farm in northern Botetourt County that's about 200 acres. We moved to Botetourt County in 2020. We had been farmers in Augusta County for about 10 years and had been looking to expand our operation since the beginning, perhaps. We, as Emily said, we have off the farm jobs because farming does not pay all the bills. Unfortunately, my husband is an animal nutritionist for a nationwide feed company, and I am the executive director of the Virginia Angus Association. We have 3 children, Wyatt, Ren, and Walker, who also have their own agricultural endeavors. The children have their own show goat company where they raise boar goats for other children throughout the state and other states to show, called WX3 Show Animals. They each also have their own herd of registered cattle that they show, sell, and some that end up in the beef production market, perhaps something you ate for lunch today. MAM Farms is the name of our farm. It is a 120 head operation in Buchanan, Virginia. We raise predominantly registered Black Angus cattle. Now, when you drive, maybe you drive through places and see cattle in the field, predominantly they are black. Why do we raise Black Angus cattle? Because at the end of the day, we are raising animals that enter the food chain. Angus cattle are known for their carcass quality, meaning they're producing a high yield carcass at their finished weight. They are well marbled and tender. Hopefully you agree with that after you ate it. I feel terrible if you don't agree with that. Angus cattle are also known for their maternal traits. As I mentioned, we have 3 children who are largely involved in our farm on the day-to-day aspects. So having something that is a docile maternal animal while the children are in the field is incredibly important. They also have a superior milking capability, meaning that when it comes time to wean their calf, not child, their calf, they're weaning something that is half of their own body weight while also carrying a new pregnancy at that same time. They have high fertility rates and the ability to breed back quickly. At the end of the day, farming is a business, and those are things that are incredibly important to us. You may have noticed in the picture I shared that the pasture was speckled with some brown cows as well. We raise a small herd of bronzy cattle. That's what they look like. They are a beef breed that came from Switzerland in the 1860s. Being not a black animal, they're more heat tolerant. So you'll find them more in Texas, the Midwest, places like that. They're also incredibly maternal and docile. The world population of Bronvies is 7 million compared to Angus's 50 million. They're also my favorite, but please don't tell the black cows. When talking about a beef cow's life cycle, you're really looking at 3 main stages. So we have the cow-calf cycle, where you're going to have a heifer or bull calf born. At our personal farm, we calf twice a year, in the spring, so March, and in the fall, which would be September, October. You're gonna have a heifer or a bull calf, and they will either go into the food production, meaning ending up in beef that you'll see in the grocery store or in your own freezer, or a heifer or bull going into reproduction, meaning they will stay on the farm.
We make this decision at our personal farm at about 4 months of age. You wean a calf at 6 months, so that gives you, they've been with their mother, they've developed a bit, it gives you an indication if that's something you want to keep on your farm to add to your herd, or if it needs to end up on someone's table. After that, you have something called the backgrounding or stocker phase. So this is right after weaning until approximately a year old. So on our personal farm, once an animal has been selected to enter the beef production cycle, they move into something called our backgrounding farm, where they are fed free choice hay. Free choice means it's like a buffet. Whenever you're hungry, you go eat it. And a couple pounds of grain per head per day. Depending on the time of year, these steers will also graze small pastures around the farm before moving into our feedlot. Heifers who stay within our herd, meaning we will keep them, raise them to a cow, and they'll have their own babies, are sent to a farm where we lease pasture in Winchester, and they feed our heifers till they come back to be ready to be bred. The finishing phase is when they're moved into a feedlot production. Generally, that's about a year old. Our steers are processed at 14 months old. We'll talk about that again in a little bit, where they have free choice of feeds. That means buffet all day, eating as much as they want to get to that finished weight. When talking about beef, one of the hot words that you hear, grass-fed, grain-fed, it's always a question we get from folks who are new. What do your cows eat? They actually eat both. So our mature cow herd and their calves graze pastures for 9 to 10 months out of the year. That is a little non-traditional. That is more than perhaps the average farm. We're able to do this through 2 ways. Rotational grazing, which is during the growing season, we will divide our farm up into, so we have pastures, we'll divide those up into smaller paddocks. And I don't know, this is my little boy here, so you can see again, talking about having the children involved. There's a small white line and you can see him reeling it up. That's just a temporary electric fence to keep the cattle confined to one area, to eat in that area before they move. So during that time of year, we move them every 4 to 5 days. Why do we do this? Because cows are like children at a buffet. They will eat the ice cream, the cookies, the candy, and they will not go to the lettuce or the vegetables that they need to eat. Cows are the exact same way. They will pick through and find only the grass that they are interested in and then demand that they are hungry to throw fit. So when given a smaller section, they are forced, that sounds terrible, but they are encouraged to eat everything that is good for them and they're never starving. They'll eat what is appropriate and then move to the next section. Strip grazing is where those pastures are divided up into even smaller areas. So literally just a strip of pasture. It's enough grass to last the cattle for 36 hours. We do that after the growing season has ended to prolong our grazing period. The cattle also get hay when the grass is not growing. So in a perfect world, we feed hay February through the beginning of April. To put it into perspective for you, last year with the drought, we began feeding hay on January 1st. So your grasses probably looked very brown last year. Our pastures also looked very brown. So we started feeding hay 60 days before we normally would. We purchase normally 200 to 250 bales of hay a year to cover our winter feeding, and then also at our background in barns. The hay is also fed to our bulls when not turned out with the cattle. So they'll get a fresh bale unrolled for them every single day. Grain feeding, we feed grain to cattle in the finishing phase, and they have unlimited access to a complete feed. So that is my hand. That is exactly what the feed looks like. It is comprised of corn, dry distiller's grain, soy hulls, wheat midds, pre and probiotics, and trace minerals. That's why it's called a complete feed, because it's everything you need plus your vitamins. We grain feed because we believe that this provides a more marbled product, a tastier product, and grain feeding also allows the steer to get to its finished weight a lot faster. Our animals are processed at about 14 months of age, which is an optimal tenderness period. A finished cow weighs about 1,250 to 1,350 pounds. A calf on the ground, when it first comes out, is probably 70 pounds. So we're talking about a lot to gain in a 14-month period. This is just funny. This is what grocery day looks like on the farm. So a little different from your grocery bag. That is my 8-year-old next to one of the feed bags. And the silver apparatus that you see, that's called a self-feeder. So that is what our steers and our feedlot eat out of. That will feed about 15 steers at a time for probably 3 weeks. And that holds 4 tons of feed. So every time we call it Uber Eats for the cows comes, they're bringing 8 tons of feed at a time. So very different from your grocery day. We are feeding families just like yours. 75% of our finished steers go to feed local families. We have been selling beef by the quarters, halves, and wholes for 14 years. We are very thankful that the bulk of our business has been via word of mouth. We don't really do very much advertising, and we sell out very quickly. We are very blessed. The cuts, the way this works is you say, you know, oh, I want a quarter or I want a half, and the cuts are determined by the buyer. So you only get what it is that you and your family want to eat. This is an example of what some things look like. Now, I talked about how a finished steer is 1,350 pounds. Normally people are like, that sounds like a lot of beef. That sounds like more than I would ever eat in my entire lifetime. So a steer, we talked about those high yield carcass weights. A steer yields about 60% of its body weight into finished meat. And then once you take bones and things like that out, it's 50% of that number. So it's really a much more attainable number. It's about 250 pounds. So a half a steer yields, just to be approximate, and this is taken from my own mother's personal order where she only wants to eat ground beef and steaks. About 115 pounds of ground beef, 15 roasts, and 43 steaks. We, again, are all hands on deck. That is my little boy packing up someone's order. We love to get pictures from folks of the finished product in their freezer. I always say that I am the poster child for if you want to work in agriculture, you can. I did not grow up on a farm. I grew up in a subdivision with not even a garden and not even a pet. But I married a farmer and I was thrown into this very quickly, and it gives me an unexplainable amount of joy to be able to feed people local beef. A lot of times people think, oh, that's unattainable and that is unaffordable, and it is incredibly important to us to keep our prices low and just about feeding the people. So we love to see things like this. This is literally just pictures people have sent me when they're so excited that their freezer is stocked for the year. I have my contact information on here if you ever have any questions or wanted to reach out. I do have the farm's Facebook. We share lots of fun beef facts, pictures, things like that. And if you ever were interested in purchasing local beef, all that information is on there. I want to thank you guys so much for letting me come today and talk to you about this during Beef Month. I've got some, part of my job is also with the Virginia Beef Council. So I've got some fun beef is what's for dinner swag for you here. Some steak seasoning, taco seasoning packets, and then burger recipes. So thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Apparently I talk so fast, I'm allowed to answer questions. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, said on this, what's the easiest place to find your products?
Repeat the question.
The easiest place to find our products locally.
Yeah.
So dealing directly with us, yep, emailing us, calling us, or finding us on social media is the best way you can get a hold of us.
And if you forget, you can call me.
Anything else? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I wondered about what education you do, like have classrooms come and visit or do any kind of information around.
We do actually. So my husband and I feel like we talk to a lot of people throughout our job. So sometimes we don't necessarily think about the education aspect, but it is very important to us. We have hosted the Virginia Western Ag Tech class. We do that twice a year. They come and look at our pastures. They talk about grazing, grass management, things like that. We host various livestock judging teams throughout the year to come out and look at the animals. Those are called workouts when they come and look at judge animals. We do that probably once a month. We have a team at the farm. we are always open to visitors. We love talking to people and showing people around. So yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, what is the biggest difference in the taste of grass-fed beef?
So grass-fed, the biggest difference in grass-fed beef. This might be slightly biased, but the biggest difference is a grass-fed animal being on grass to get to a finished weight takes approximately 2.5 to 3 years. So you're losing a large amount of your tenderness because your animal is just significantly older. Also, grass is like eating lettuce your whole life. So good for you, you've been incredibly healthy, but you're probably very lean and not a well-marbled end product. I am never the type of farmer that is going to slam where you get your beef. I don't care if it's grass-fed, I don't care if it's from the grocery store, or it's grain-fed. Just happy that you're eating beef. In my personal opinion and what we do on the farm, we believe that grain finished provides the tastiest end product. But, oh, good, I'm glad. But grass-fed beef is not disgusting and people love it. Yes, sir. We are not in any farmers markets. We are incredibly blessed that the steers that we do per year sell out so fast for repeat customers and just word of mouth. Occasionally, we will have things that are USDA processed and available by the cut on the farm directly, and on our social media would be a great place to see that. Also, as Emily said, I have 3 children, and every Saturday for the rest of my life is dedicated to doing stuff with them. So I do not have time to go to the market, unfortunately. We do actually deal with some restaurants, not local, back where we were from in Augusta County. Yes, sir.
Recent reports of avian flu in cattle, how concerned are you? What to avoid that?
Sure. So that's a very good question. And that makes me put on my professional hat to answer that question. So the question was about the reports of avian flu in cattle. There have been reports of avian flu in dairy cattle, to be specific, in 9 states. The 9th state just came out last week. The closest one to us being Tennessee or North Carolina. I'd have to go back and look. They believe that avian flu is being spread mostly through migratory birds. And the USDA stance and the government stance and state vets is that our food chain is still safe. Things that they have done to combat that is they've limited interstate travel, means going into another state, with lactating dairy cattle, because those are the ones who have tested positive for it. Nothing that ends up in your food chain has tested positive. So now any dairy cow to ship will require a CVI, which is called a Certificate of Veterinary Inspection, and a negative avian flu test before being able to go somewhere within its own state. There is no interstate travel on dairy cattle right now.
Thank you.
Sure, yes.
Could you address the grading system that you see on beef?
Oh, sure. So the question was the grading system on beef, which would be choice, select, and prime. Those are, so you can't just say, I think I have prime beef, stick that sticker on there. It's a system that is run by state graders and national graders. And it is based on several things like carcass yield, meaning its starting weight, like its finished weight, how much it yielded, marbling, tenderness, so age would go into that. So again, I'm not going to talk bad about any type of beef. Select would be, or choice would be your lowest, then it's select, then it's prime. It's all still delicious and safe beef to eat. A prime cut just means that it's a younger animal, but not like veal, still a finished age with higher marbling. Anything else? No? Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. I know more leaving the room than I did when I came in the room, and I appreciate that education. Told in an interesting way. Thank you. So we have an honorarium for you. If you'll stand up, we'll get our picture taken. This is going to the Botetourt County Fair Association. I hope you enjoy. enjoyed the lunch. I was listening, I hope you were too, so if you know that, you can come up front afterwards if you want some information or some spices. All right. Now, we talked about KPAD a little earlier, and I just want to point out that all of you, including myself, are dying to know how well we did. And you're going to come back on the first Wednesday in June to hear the answer to that question. June program for the first Wednesday is dedicated to the KPAD wrap-up. In the meantime, you're going to come back next week, and Steve English is going to share with us the results of the high school scholarships. I'm looking forward to all of that. I hope you are too. And with that, we are adjourned.
I appreciate you for having me here.